Hello friends, and welcome back to She's at It Again. I've given you this particular recipe for sausage before, and I'm talking like sausage patties that you would fry for breakfast, but you can also just chop it up as, loose pork sausage cooked for another dish, which I use a lot, and that's why I'm doing this video. The other video, we keep linking to videos when I say, okay, and here's sausage, we'll link the video to that. I think it's embedded in something else, so you have to watch the whole thing. Not that I would mind you doing that, but this is for just those times when I need to say, I'll link this video for sausage, your own homemade sausage, and you can make Italian sausage with only 2 more ingredients than what we have listed here. So this just makes it easier. So let's go over there to the kitchen island. We're going to do this one more time, just kind of a comprehensive video on how to make your own sausage. I just checked my phone at our local big store, the 1-pound rolls of pre-made sausage, which I'm pretty certain that all of them have preservatives as well as MSG. MSG is not a preservative, it's a flavor enhancer. It's not something you really need to be eating. I would caution against that only because I've had experience with having some not so pleasant outcomes when I ate things with MSG, and things like headaches, and just I couldn't really describe it other than, I'm a pretty descriptive person, but I couldn't describe it other than I just feel yuck. I would eat it and I'd say, I don't really know how to describe it. I'm not really sick. I just don't feel good. I feel kind of yucky. So that's what MSG does to me. But it has been known to cause things such as headaches and just some really, really funky gastrointestinal issues. So be cautious of the MSG in products. But I checked the price of those. It was anywhere from $4.62 on the high end for the brand that has a gold wrapper or a silver wrapper, to low end, which is store brand or some just local brands that were maybe like $3 for a pound. But this, I'm going to show you the ground pork itself. I got it on sale. Well, I don't even know if it was on sale. I think it's regular price at our Kroger for $1.99 a pound. So you add a few seasonings to it, and you've got yourself not only some better sausage as far as taste, but there's so minimal waste to it, because when you cook the store brand, there's so much grease left in your skillet. With this, you almost have to add a fat to it to get it to look like regular sausage, what you're used to. So very, very little waste in this. It's just a win all the way around. So this is what we do on days when I don't necessarily have a lot going on. I prep the sausage, put it in a Ziploc bag, it stays in the freezer, and I can cook them 1 at a time or 10 at a time, however many I need to cook for that day. So let's go over to the kitchen and let's get started on mixing up some sausage. All right, so here's my big mixing bowl. Do I need this big of a bowl? Probably not, but I'd rather have too big of a bowl than too small a one, because I don't want it going all over my counter. After all, this is animal meat and it's not cooked, so I'm just a little sketched out about that. All right, we're going to start out with putting our seasonings, our spices, in the bowl. We'll get them a little bit wet so they won't just be flying around and maybe tend to congregate in little chunks inside the meat. We want it to be evenly distributed in here. First ingredient is dried sage. Now I buy these bulk from our local Good Measure Market or Natural Food Store. We have 2 really great stores in town that sell bulk spices, and so these are organic spices. But for a pound of it, you would use 2 teaspoons. This package, and I'll show you what the package looks like. I just took this out of the freezer. I've had it for a while. But this is what the package looks like. And it's just natural pork, no preservatives, no anything else other than just ground pork. And look at the price on that. I know you can see that. Yeah, this is for over a pound and a half. So I am going to put spices in here according to my size of package, but if you only have a pound of pork, then that's what this recipe would be for, and I will link the recipe in the description, obviously. So we're going to use about a tablespoon of sage, and I really like sage, so I might put a little more than a tablespoon. Yeah, actually a lot more than a tablespoon. I like sage a lot. For a pound, you would use a teaspoon of salt. So for this amount, I'll use about 1.5 teaspoons. Actually, this is 1.65 pounds, so a little more than 1.5 teaspoons. I have black pepper, and I just ground this earlier. I keep it in this bottle, but I just ground it earlier this morning. It calls for a half teaspoon for a pound, so I'm going to use about 3/4 of a teaspoon. Marjoram is our next item. You probably don't have this in your cabinet. I buy this again at our store that sells bulk spices, and I buy the organic, but I don't buy a whole lot at a time just because this recipe only calls for half a teaspoon. So I'm only going to need about 3/4 of a teaspoon, a little over that amount. And I don't have a lot of recipes that call for marjoram, so I just don't keep that much in stock. 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So for this recipe, we will use a little less than 1/4 of a teaspoon. So more than 1/8, but a little less than 1/4. And it calls for a pinch of just red chili flakes. So I'm going to use a big pinch of red chili flakes. And if you like your spicy, it's not necessarily these that add the heat to it, it's the cayenne, I promise. If you want super spicy, actually hot, what they refer to it as, sausage, then use more cayenne pepper. But just be cautious, you can always add more heat to it, but you can't take it out once it's in there. I know I've said that a lot, but it's the truth. All right, this is what our spices look like in the bottom of our bowl. And I'm just gonna add enough water to make a paste. And the sage likes to sit on top of that water, so that's really what I'm trying to mainly get wet. The salt will dissolve, but the sage kind of floats around. Now we'll take our package of ground pork. I probably put, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon of water in that, but the water's going to cook out anyway when you prep this, so don't worry too much about the amount of water. All right, now I'm going to get in there and start mushing this with my hands. But I want to stir it together a little bit just so you can kind of see what it looks like. And as much as I want to share this recipe with you and encourage you to try to make some, just because it's I just can't even describe how much better this is than store-bought. When I was a kid, I remember thinking, sausage smells so good, but there's just something about it that didn't sit right with me. And it may have been the MSG in it. I don't know at what point they started using that, but MSG is, again, it's not a preservative. It's a flavor enhancer. It's like a microphone for your tongue. There is no nutritional value to it. It is simply to trick your mind. Not really trick. I don't want to make it sound like they're being dishonest with their product, but it truly is just, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's just with the flavor. It makes your brain think, wow, that flavor is so powerful, and it just makes you want more. It's like there's an addictive quality to it. And again, they're not being deceptive because they actually list the product on there, but I can't tell you how many people have told me before, yeah, MSG is a preservative, and I'll say, well, with all due respect, it's not a preservative. And they're like, yeah, I was told it was a preservative. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not, and I'm being truthful. It's not a preservative. It's a flavor enhancer, but it just does too many negative things to your body. So I couldn't really say that it's a good idea to have it in there. So I always look for products that don't have MSG in them, and for a long time before I learned how to make my own, I was constantly searching for brands that did not have MSG in it. but it just makes me personally just feel yucky. I just can't even explain. Oh, I think I'm not even going to have to mush this up with my hands as much as I thought I was going to, because it's kind of all mixed in there. I don't see any big chunks of sage anywhere in this, so that's a good thing. All right, so I'm going to get my little pieces of parchment paper together. I'm going to turn the camera off, and when we come back, I'm just going to show you how to press these into sausage patties. Now, you could make, you know, a tube of it if you want to just put it in a bag and slice it like that. But if you're like me, I don't want to thaw out a whole pound of it if I only want a slice of it, and that would be a big waste. I'd have to cook it a lot. Now, I will say I have, on my channel, I have a recipe for sausage cheddar muffins, and I cook this like cooking ground beef, and it only takes a half a pound of it for each batch of muffins, but I cook the sausage ahead of time, put it in a little container, stick it out in the freezer, and when I'm ready to make muffins, it's already cooked. There is no grease to it. I mean, when I say the store brand has a lot of grease and this has hardly any, you just won't even believe the comparison. There's such a little amount of waste. Okay, I did just remember, I was going to tell you something else. When you want to make Italian sausage, you simply make up this recipe just like it is, but to each pound of it, you're going to add 2 teaspoons of ground paprika, just this product right here, and you're also going to add a half a teaspoon of fennel seed. That's what makes regular sausage into Italian sausage. So just that. Now, I'm not going to turn any of this into Italian sausage. This is all going to be regular bulk pork sausage to go into patties. So I'm going to turn the camera off. We'll come back and I'll have my papers out and I'll show you how to turn these into little tiny sausage patties, just ready for the skillet. Okay, I want you to see what I'm doing with this parchment paper. This is what parchment paper looks like. I'm creasing the edge of it. I have the lid tucked into the box, and then it's forever tearing across it, so it'll be a miracle if I get to the end of it. Nah, it's tearing. I try to tear it right on this line. I'm horrible at this. Okay, so I kind of have a strip like that. So I have my little container like this, and this piece fits nicely in the bottom. All right, let's get to making some of these. Here's my trick. I have 2 cans right here. Now, cans are a little bit hard to find that have this ridge on the top and the bottom. Honestly, I don't remember what this was a can of. Maybe a small can of vegetables that somebody had, because I don't buy them like that. Or maybe it was condensed milk. I don't know. But this can is a different item, and it fits right into those 2. So I can slide it out the bottom, but it's snug enough to where, sorry about the clock, I can put my blob of ground meat in there and press it out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. One of my cookie dough scoops is the perfect amount for this, and I'm not sure how much that holds, but I think it's 1/8 of a cup, which is 2 tablespoons. So I just position this on the parchment where I want the sausage patty to go, because you're not really going to move it around once you get it on there. You probably can, but you just got to pick it up and mess with it. I'd rather just not pick it up and mess with it. If I can keep my hands from touching this, I'm a much happier girl. All right, so about 2 tablespoons of that. Take this, press it all the way down. Some squished out the side. There we go. So maybe I squished it too hard. But that is one of our sausage patties. All right, you can just pretty much fill this page up. If I'd have been smart enough, I'd have scooted this over. Maybe I can do this with the spatula. I'll scoot it over just a tiny bit, and that way I can fit 2 on here side by side. Maybe it's a heaping scoop that I usually do. Well, I know it comes out, so it's not my imagination. I pushed it out the bottom. There we go. So any kind of items you have, even if you have to raid your kid's toy box for something that fits inside really nicely like that, I give you my permission to go get it out of their toy box, clean it up real well, and make your sausage patties like that. Okay, I'll make a few of these to put on this paper, and then I won't bore you with me making all of them like this. Nice thing about this too is you can put more meat in there and make the patties thicker, but they're all going to be the same size as far as the circumference of them, or diameter, whatever you call it, the measurement of it. Okay. All right, I still have several to go, but again, I'm not going to bore you with all that for right now. We have 6. They fit nicely in here. I've got more paper to make more layers with, and we're just going to layer them up, and then I'll show you that product when I'm finished in just a bit. Okay, we have our sausage patties all pressed out. This is what they look like. And out of a little over 1.5 pounds of ground pork, I got 16 sausage patties. Now you may get more, you may get less, just depends on how much you put in each one, what the size of yours is, if you like them hefty or if you like them super thin. But now we're going to pop these in the freezer and we'll let them freeze super hard. Do not attempt to use wax paper in this. The wax paper will stick to the ground pork, but if you use parchment, you'll easily pull these off once they're frozen. And we actually save our parchment paper, put it in the zip top bag that I store the sausage patties in the freezer with. So, you know, don't waste the parchment. So anyway, I'm gonna pop these in the freezer now. Okay, a few hours later, it's now 4:30. It was close to noon when I was doing that earlier. So we have our zip top bag. We have our sausage that is completely frozen. Well, for the most part. It's hard. And I'm just going to take these, and they peel off the parchment really easily. Again, don't try wax paper. Doesn't work. All right, now if I can get the bag open. Just going to drop these in there like that. I'll show you what these look like. Just peel them off like that. And then we'll fold our paper up, put it in the bag with it, and of course disinfect the countertops because I'm fixing to make some pizzas for supper. We have guests coming over and I got to get all this cleared up. But I just wanted you to be able to see this process. It's so easy. Like I say, it's kind of like the baked rice. I always tell people, once you try this, you will never cook rice on top of the stove again. Once you make sausage from just plain ground pork with those minimal amount of spices, no sugar, no preservatives, it's just so good for you. Gluten-free, obviously, but you will probably never go back to buying the stuff in the gold roll again. So anyway, hope this has been helpful, and we look forward to sharing something again with you real soon. Bye, guys.